The term selling out has been thrown around quite a bit, and to be honest, it's usually unwarranted. Usually it's given to something that just made a change that got the work more popular, or even worse, that the work is popular at all. Usually that's just coincidence. That's not really what selling out is. Selling out is when you sacrifice your artistic integrity to appeal to the broadest audience possible and just get more money as a result. It's not, as most people think, having some pop culture references or celebrity actors. Having them is actually fine if they don't detract from the story or the tone. Selling out comes in when you're only trying to cash in on popular trends before you do anything else. And that's why many of Hanna-Barbera's stuff in the 70s and early 80s sucks, and sucks hard. Half of their 70s lineup in particular seems to scream selling out. And this isn't a term I use lightly. It's usually a good thing when an artist makes money, but selling out happens when you try to cash in so much that you essentially stop being an artist. And Hanna-Barbera, once upon a time, were very good artists. Not only did they give us Tom and Jerry, but they gave us some of the greatest cartoons of the 60s, like the Flintstones and Yogi Bear and Rocky and Bullwinkle, although that was 50s. For an example, take any of the live-action adaptations of a cartoon that have come out in the last decade. Think the Scooby-Doo movie. Now compare it to this piece of Scooby-Doo fan art. You can work with and reference anything you want and still do it well. Some do it nicely and some don't. For the majority of these shows, Hanna-Barbera did not do it well. But usually, an artist only has one chance to sell out. In the 70s, Hanna-Barbera did it many, many times. And as a result of this, they're sort of the butt of jokes even today, which I still don't think they deserve, even beyond all of the bullshit. But still, I thought it was bad when they blatantly rehashed Scooby-Doo, and then they rehashed it again. I thought it was bad when they put Josie and the Pussycats in outer space, and then blatantly ripped off I Dream of Jeannie. I mean, they didn't even change the spelling of the name. Most people think the absolute bottom of the barrel of these shows is Fonz and the Happy Days Gang, the animated series, where because Hanna-Barbera couldn't get the rights to Doctor Who, they had the cast of a sitcom travel through fucking time. Because when I can't get science fiction characters, the next best thing is a sitcom cast. I can imagine it now. Tim Allen being chased by fucking dinosaurs. Oh wait, that really happened. Keep in mind, Happy Days is the show that invented the term, jumping the shark. And they did that before their animated series where they jumped through time. I might be reviewing that in the future, but that's an 80s show. Honestly, I'm going to have to tell you the truth though. The show that I picked to review is probably even a bigger sellout move. Hey, what's popular right now? Charlie's Angels. Okay, what's one franchise we haven't run into the ground? Casper the Friendly Ghost. Alright, what else are the kids into? Outer space! So now, Casper the Friendly Ghost becomes the guardian angels of two space cops in the distant future. Do you know what the really sad part about this is? This wasn't even Hanna-Barbera's first attempt to cash in on the success of Charlie's Angels. Their first attempt was Captain Caveman and the Teen Angels. And do you want to know what the real kicker is? That show was still airing when Casper and the Angels came out. That's beyond shameless. Not only cash in, and cash in big time on everything you can get your hands on, but you cash in on the same thing twice. I'd give them a little leeway if what they actually did with the concept or the material was good, but none of this show is good. On top of haphazardly throwing Casper into the Jetsons and gluing it to the ass of Charlie's Angels, we've got one of those infamous comic relief characters. This group here is joined by Harry Scary. I'm going to tell you how annoying he is in a bit, but I thought it would be more important to tell you that Harry Scary was a ghost who is accepting of the fact that Casper doesn't want to scare people. If that doesn't miss the point of Casper, I don't know what does. And yes, the Space Angels act nothing like Charlie's Angels. And why even Casper? He hadn't been relevant for like a decade. And no, I don't know why Harry Scary is a part of the party. From what I can tell, the intro doesn't explain it, and neither does the first episode. The episode I've decided to review is called Space Circus, because it highlights another problem I have with this show. Instead of making things more spacey, they just add the word space in front of everything. Space Circus, Space Cops, Space Cakes, Space Trail. Yeah, a fucking space trail.
Space, trial, put in the system on trial, in space, space system, on trial, guilty, not being in space, go to space jail.
And who are the space cops? Well, one of them is an idiot who can't bake a cake properly, and the other one is a hothead, because I haven't heard that concept before. Almost immediately, we hear that Harry Scary is one of the most annoying characters I've ever heard. His tick is something like this. Gah-ha-ha! Say something stupid. Gah-ha-ha!
Huh? Hiya, Maxie. No fear, the Ghost Fire Department is here.
No, Harry.
And yes, that was everywhere in the 70s, but by this point, it was really at the end of its rope. I hate characters that talk like this. If this blibbering idiot wasn't dead, I would strangle. I'm telling you that right now. The episode starts with Harry Scary being a freeloader and deciding not to clean up the house. Because he's a fucking ghost. Great start, people. He decides to phase through a wall.
Someday I could pick up my sheets and split. Get it? Sheet? Split?
No, I don't. Not at all. It's usually painful when these characters point out a joke like that isn't funny, but usually it makes some kind of sense. Like, I think it's supposed to be a pun. Was this a term in the 70s? Sheet split sheet? No, I don't get it. The cake ends up burning because the stupid cop didn't take the mix out of the box. So this is the evolutionary path of Patrick Star. Harry Scary tries to help out, but he makes everything worse. Because Harry Scary's a fucking moron and they have zero reason to keep him around, they tell Casper to take him to the space circus. So, we see the only reason that Harry Scary is allowed to stay on board. He scares the bad guys that annoy Casper. Because scaring the bad guys is morally correct. Wait a minute. In literally everything Casper related, why don't the other ghosts just meet Casper halfway and have him scare up bad people like dictators and warmongers? I've never heard an explanation of why not. This means that this spin-off essentially killed the concept of Casper. I don't mean that it just insulted the original Casper like it's Teen Titans Go or Lunatics Unleashed or something like that. I mean, it gave me a very detailed explanation to why the original Casper story would not work. No other spin-off I've seen has managed to do this. And no, don't say that Casper wouldn't do that, because at the very least he doesn't give a damn when Harry Scary does it. Then Harry Scary spots what he thinks is a crook at a circus. And just on mere suspicion, he decides to set up a trap for the guy. When Casper comes back, a different crook steals his prize. Dumbass McGee here tells Casper that he needs to catch his own crook. And spoiler alert, Dumbass's crook turns out to be the space police inspector of space affairs. Why do they keep this idiot around? No, really, I mean it. Why do they keep this idiot around? I mean, I can actually understand Scrappy-Doo. Not tolerate him, God forbid, but I can understand him. Scrappy-Doo is Scooby's relative and essentially his ward. But Harry's Scary? He's related to no one, does nothing but destroy things, and refuses to clean. He's a fucking freeloader. Why do they keep him around? Anyway, the space cops berate Harry because he's a fucking failure. And they go off to find Casper before the ghost hurts himself. Wait, I thought he was the guardian angels of the cops, not the other way around.
He might be in trouble.
The trouble with some people is they don't know that nobody's perfect. But I'm close.
I am going to dedicate 30, maybe 40 years of my life researching advanced sciences and technology to figure out how to bring the dead back to life, so I could spend my entire retirement murdering you until I die myself. They find the smuggler's tire tracks and follow it through the empty void of space. Also, the thing that caused the tire tracks, it's a rocket. Then we see the smuggler stuffing diamonds into a teddy bear on his ship. How does this make any sort of sense? The point of smuggling is to be as inconspicuous as possible, and you could buy toys.
I say that crime doesn't pay.
What?
And we've got our obligatory forced moral for the day. Are you happy, parents? Oh, what's that? You're not watching this garbage? Just typical. Yeah, I firmly want to believe that no one in those parents groups actually watched any of the crap they helped place on television, because honestly, who in their right mind would? Now, Harry Scary, despite not being on a vehicle and the smuggler trying to get away as fast and as far as possible, just happens to see the rocket that Casper is being taken away in. While Harry Scary annoys the piss out of the smuggler, Casper...
I'll leave a space trail.
Really? Fucking really? It's amazing that despite how everyone being so obsessed with space in the entire 70s, no one really understood how it worked. If you put something in space, it's obviously not going to stay still. But if we're going on this show's logic here, this still wouldn't work. Remember the fairy tale from like hundreds of years ago about Hansel and Gretel? Yeah, if you leave a trail of something valuable, other people will steal it. Furthermore, just park the fucking rocket. My god, in all of these space shows, rockets are pretty much cars. You could stop them anywhere. The space cops find the diamond trail in the void of space, and they catch the smuggler. The smuggler himself gets to spend the rest of his life chasing Smurfs, and Harry Scary gets praised for not screwing things up for once. You know what? Why is this cliche still not dead in 2015? There's nothing more annoying than a story about a character screwing up majorly, doing something right for once in their fucking life, and then screwing up again just to prove that nothing has changed. Yeah, I get it, no one's perfect. But plenty of people can at least be considered competent, and Harry Scary, and any other characters who go through this plot, falls way, way below the line of competency. And yeah, Harry Scary screws up at the end. Am I done with the 70s yet?
Right. Don't like space. Don't like space. It's too big. Too big. Wanna go home. Wanna go to Earth.
Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-chingery. Money, oh money, how I love thee. Cha-ching, cha-chong, cha-changaroo. From pennies to dollars, any amount will do. Cha-ching, cha-ching, it's no contest. There's only one thing that I love the best. From every side I've ever seen to the sweetest sound I've heard, I'd gladly give